Fleas aren't the only pests you and your pet need to worry about. Ticks can also be a major health problem. Kira joins us now with the Ask the Vet segment.
That's right, Randall. Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Dr. Joel Conn from Pismo Beach Veterinary Clinic. Thank you so much for joining us at the crack of dawn this morning.
Thank you.
What a great way to start the week and the season. We're going to start off with some myths. And it rained yesterday, and I think a lot of people think one myth is they only need to guard their pets against ticks during rainy seasons.
That's right. You know, the thing that I think makes people think that is that we tend to see the ticks more this time of the year because we see the adults. But the truth is it's a year-round issue. The ticks that we see during the dry months, during the summer, are literally about the size of a freckle. They're tiny little immature stage, and so you're much less likely to spot them. They can still transmit disease and still cause the same problems.
Oh, wow. So we'll get to how to treat those in a moment, but first a quick list of all the myths. So that the rainy season of rainy months, not true. Myth number 2, I don't need a tick preventative because I'm able to manually remove the ticks. Ugh.
Well, I think, again, depending on the size of the tick, that can be really a challenge. You know, you think of the typical long-haired dog, you're going to miss a lot on that animal. For Lyme's disease, you've got about 48 hours, we think, to get that tick off before it can transmit disease. But there are a couple of other tick-borne pathogens, Ehrlichia, Anaplasma, that act very similar to Lyme disease, and they can be transmitted in 4 to 6 hours. So those ticks need to come off quickly, so that's why prevention is key.
So myths number 1 and 2, wrong, both false. And myth number 3, tick preventatives are highly toxic.
And I think that's true of the older products, some of the older generation products. We've got a number of great products available now, some of which are prescription, some of which are over-the-counter. A couple here that I got today, we've got Revolution and Vectra 3D. These are newer generation topical products. They treat for fleas and ticks. Vectra also has a repellent in it, which is helpful. There's also a tick collar called Preventic, probably the best tick prevention out there. And that's it's really going to help prevent your animal from getting ticks. The ticks may still attach, but they'll die and fall off within a few hours.
And you would recommend having one of these in place year-round?
Year-round.
So as to avoid having ticks altogether, but if your pet does get these ticks, what do you do immediately? What's the first reaction?
You want to manually remove them. And so there's a little bit of technique to that. It takes some practice, but basically some fine tweezers. You want to grasp the tick near where it attaches to the skin. You want to get that mouth part out. And usually if you kind of grasp it and gently twist as you pull it off, you can get a nice clean separation. You want to make sure that tick's dead too before you throw it out.
Oh, it's just so unsettling. But like you said earlier, some of the ticks can be a freckle size. How do you find those? How do you see them?
Well, again, they can be tough. If you do spot them, some fine tweezers are helpful for that. But that's why these preventatives are so important, because you just cannot spot every tick.
So your best bet might be hey, I don't want to maybe deal with these things, but it's your safest option at just not having ticks enter your house or your life at all.
Right.
And some people think, hey, my perfect pet hasn't had ticks in 10 years. This illness can't be from a tick.
Well, just like in humans, we're finding more and more about Lyme disease in particular. That's kind of a hot topic, responsible possibly for chronic fatigue syndrome and some of these other chronic diseases in humans. And it can be years after tick exposure. And we see that in dogs and cats too. And that's one of the questions we always see if an animal comes in with a fever, has there been tick exposure? And it could have been several years earlier.
Oh, wow.
So, those ticks, you want to prevent them and not even allow that to start.
So bottom line, denial, it's key to what is it? Acceptance is the first step
That's
in
right.
healing. So you need to accept that your dog or cat is susceptible to this. Get this for your dog. Just get them under this sort of medication or collar or something of the sort so as to avoid everything else. But if you do encounter the ticks, try to pick them off or head to your vet.
Yeah, I mean, we actually see quite a few animals that are in because they have ticks like that's kind of a gross picture there.
Gross, yeah.
And we're happy to take care of those for you as well.
And that even looks like a pretty big one.
That one's been on there for some time, and those are the ones we worry about. Those are the ones that can transmit disease because they've been there for a while. This gives you a picture of an adult tick right next to that nymph stage. You can see how tiny that is.
Tiny.
Very hard to spot, especially on a black dog. You're just not going to see it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joel Conn. Always so full of information that we want and we need, but I don't want to see that.
Good way to start your morning.
Yeah, good way to start your week on a Monday. And for more information, for all this very valuable tick information, head to our website, KCOY.com, and you'll get information on how to get in touch with Dr. Conn or ask him questions about your pet's health, because our pets are our children. So it's so important to us that you're here to give us this information. Thank you so much for joining us from Pismo Beach Veterinary Clinic, and we'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.